Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. With me today is Erin Marie Allen, and I'm going to have her introduce herself in just a minute. But I'm Marla Copal, and I'm hosting Your Vitality Matters Facebook group, and it's designed for a number of people I know that are practitioners and health providers and movement specialists and energy workers so that their clients can come in here. We can have sort of a group in which we can ask questions, share tips, and become active together. And also, we all have one other common thread, which I'll explain to you later. And then, for those of you who know me from the health side, I'm also an online marketing specialist for everyone doing health related network marketing. So that's who I am, Marla Copal. And I would love to, I've enjoyed all my conversations with Erin. And so I definitely want Erin to introduce herself. She is a nurse practitioner practicing in Parker, Colorado. I think sometimes she's in Colorado Springs.
Yep.
But Erin, just sort of give us a summary of what you're doing and how you're out there.
Well, hey, yeah, I'm Erin Marie Allen. I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I specialize in functional medicine and what I call a whole person care. So, for those of you who don't know, do you think, Marla, everybody knows what a nurse practitioner even does?
No, I don't. That's what I was going to say, because you do that whole person care thing, but it means you're playing in both sides, medical and
Yeah,
non-medical.
it does.
And I think that's a criteria that would be great to explain to people so they can really understand how to resource you.
Right. All right. Well, first of all, and this varies state by state. In general, and in the state of Colorado, nurse practitioners can be your primary care provider on the medical side of things, right? We can do your annual physical and order your labs and see you when you're sick and basically do anything that your family practice doc would do. Now, I'm not going to take out your gallbladder. I'm not a surgeon, but honestly, neither is your family practice doc. That's a whole different specialty, isn't it? So my focus is on preventative care. But I really wanted truly my focus to be preventative care. So, where I got frustrated working in the conventional medicine systems is that we're not really preventing anything. We're basically catching everyone downstream once they're already sick.
Right.
We don't have a healthcare system in this country, unfortunately. We have a sick care system. So that's how insurance works as well, right? I mean, you really, it's very difficult to see anyone for preventative care,
right?
Honestly. And when you do, it's only generally what the insurance company decides it will pay for, which is not always what's most beneficial to you.
Right.
So I was very frustrated by that. And I was also really frustrated by the fact that in the conventional medical system, we tend to chop people up, for lack of a better term. Someone may have their cardiologist and their nephrologist and their dermatologist and their neurologist, right? But no one is actually looking out for their general health, for their general well-being, right? And no one is actually making sure that all of these all of these specialists are talking to each other.
Right.
Right. So yeah, they're taking care of your heart, but not connecting that the heart is connected to your brain. It's like that old song, right? The neck bone's connected to
yeah.
Like the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, and that's, it goes on and on. Everything is connected.
Right.
And so you can't treat one thing without affecting another thing. It is impossible to do. You will cause a side effect or a ripple downstream somewhere.
And what you want is the ripple stream to be positive.
Correct.
And you want them to go to the upside, not the downside.
Right.
But there are, when you read all these warnings on medications, it's like it can affect the liver, it can do this, it can do that. It's like, it's so hard to know what goes on in this dark part of our body.
Right.
And you read those warning labels, but yet people are willing to put them inside.
Right.
And sometimes there's a necessity, But hopefully the question people ask is, so can I get off this soon?
Mm-hmm. And some things, you can get off of. Some things I find that patients really shouldn't have been on in the first place. The issue, let's take a statin, for example, right?
Yes.
You know what
right.
statins are. They're to help lower your cholesterol, etc. So side effects of statins run the gamut. But one of the major side effects of statins is actually fatigue and muscle ache. Okay. And if you're fatigued and achy, do you want to go exercise? No. So you're really not going to feel great in general. But there's really not a whole lot of scientific evidence that says that just lowering the cholesterol on its own is beneficial for your heart health. That exercise that you're not doing because you feel bad now is beneficial for your heart health. Does that make sense? So we kind of have to unwind it and say, where should we have started? And what is the root cause of this issue? And can we go back and sort of backpedal and work on the lifestyle changes that need to be made in order to get that cholesterol down without taking the pill that makes you feel awful?
Right.
And it's like that with any medication. And sometimes, Marla, we can't. Okay?
True.
Sometimes we can't. And sometimes medications are absolutely necessary.
Right.
And that is the case especially with mental health medications. Okay. Right. And I never want to interfere with the treatment that another provider is giving. Right. And, if your psychiatrist wants you on medications X, Y, and Z, before I make any changes to any of that, we're going to talk to your psychiatrist and make sure that we're all on the same page. So what we're doing is not trying to eliminate the Western medical system. What we're doing is trying to make sure that everybody's looking at the whole picture of their health.
Right. Well, that's the form of being proactive versus reactive. And I think, we get stressed, right? And so we make reactive decisions, like when we're driving, we'll jerk because it looks like somebody's going to run into us or whatever. And I do think that the way I simplify things is that we go, oh, I got a problem. We go reactive. What am I going to do to fix it? And sometimes it just may mean you have to shift something. You don't have to make a radical change. So I want to go back to your statin conversation because I don't know that everybody knows, but I'm 72 and I really focus on my health and I like to get my weight into thing. But it was about 2 years ago I did a physical, and the first it's been 7 years, and I don't test high for cholesterol at all. I'm pretty good, and I'm 65, and my provider said, well, you're over 65, you have high blood pressure, which I know why I have it. I don't have a thyroid, and I'm always into regulation. And she says, I want you on a statin. Now, I'm a brain care advocate for myself and for others, and I've got a background in some of that. And I said, no. I said, that's going to eat away at my fatty mass in my brain. And I want all my fatty mass to produce all of my electrical communications that I need, because I'm just going to stay the hell away from some of that stuff that happens when you don't have enough fatty mass. And I think that's a consequence. So I don't want to prescribe anything here, but that was a concern because of a piece of information I had about not so much my heart, because I keep testing out just fine there.
Right.
But I don't want anything up here between the two ears and here. I don't want it to disappear. And so that's to me what a statin does. So I found an alternative solution. And then there was a point where I think last year, it was pretty odd, 2020, right? And I tested a little high on the cholesterol, and I just went on the natural thing my husband was doing and did another blood test, and I was fine. But it is something to pay attention to. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, how often do people come in and say, so Erin, this is what the doctor told me, And what are some alternatives for me? Is that like a good way to start a conversation with
Well,
you?
it happens all the time. Honestly, it happens all the time. When they come in with their grocery bag full of medications, half of them they don't even know why they're on them anymore. They don't feel like they're doing anything for them, and typically there's at least 2 medications in that pile that are prescribed just to fight the effects of the medications that were given in the first place. Right, so I feel like that's a really bad way to keep someone healthy.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we need to sort of backpedal and say, what is it that we're actually trying to treat here? First off, are we treating your numbers? Right? Are we treating you based on some algorithm?
Right.
That an insurance company or a professional society gave that may or may not apply to you because everyone's different, right? And honestly, that's usually the case. They said, you're 65, you need a statin. Why do you need a statin? Right? So, it doesn't make any sense. Now, the average American who is overweight, who is sedentary, who lives a horrible lifestyle, and therefore their cholesterol is really high, and they're over 65 and an increased risk for heart disease, yeah, they probably need a statin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But has anyone actually sat down and discussed with them their goals? Right?
Yeah.
What are your goals? And that's part of just not having time in the traditional medical system. When you're talking about an insurance-based pay-per-visit system, the more people you see in a day, the more you get paid. Period. End of story.
Right.
That's how it works.
Right.
So
we're running them through it's like taking your car to get it lubed at Jiffy Lube.
Right.
And you get the doctor lube.
Right. It's boom, boom, boom. Right. They have 5 minutes. They don't have time to talk about your life stressors, right? Or the fact that maybe your cholesterol is high because your liver functions are off because you're self-medicating with alcohol. Okay, but they don't have time to get into all of those things. It's much easier to just write a prescription for a pill. Because that's all 5 minutes allows.
Right.
And so that's not what we do here.
Right. So you're the ears, and you will poke and probe and ask for people's goals. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How surprised are people when you say, what are your health goals? Do you think, to me, knowing who I meet all the time, that's actually a foreign question to most people, isn't it?
It is a foreign question. And you know what? Honestly, Marla, sometimes I just get the blank stare from people.
Right.
I get tell you, what do you mean? No one's ever asked me that before. Right. Why are you seeing me today? Is it because you felt like you're not feeling well? Is it because your employer said that you absolutely had to have your cholesterol checked and your BMI done, or you're not going to get the rebate on your insurance this year? Like, what is it? Why are you here? And then also, what does that mean to you? Right? When you walk out of here, if all I've done is check your numbers, I'm not giving you a service of any kind. I'm not actually helping you stay healthy. I'm just checking boxes. And that's not healthcare.
Oh, wow. This is so profound because, I'm always amazed that people don't have health goals. And in fact, in my household, it's kind of a common conversation between my husband and I, because we have some long-term goals. One, we know it is just family history on both sides of the family that we live into our 90s. We also know some of the statistics showing if you go into assisted living or something, what happens. And I will say my personal research shows that it's because the diets are highly sugar-based.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
we don't put those sugars in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have some goals that we are going to be self-sufficient at home or higher in care if we need it. So that means we're still working because we want to provide that. But we also both, but me especially, we want to live long, die short. That means none
Yes.
of, we are like, we are going to max it out.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just don't wake up one day, then the plan worked.
Right.
So if you ask me what's my health goal, I know the answer.
Right. And that can be as simple as, and for a lot of people, it is that I want to be able to live my life. Right. Some people they're alive, but they're not actually living their life. They're existing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They can't, go to the park with their kids because they're exhausted.
Right.
Right. They can't. Now, some people have grand, lofty goals, and they want to finish the Tough Mudder, and they want to, hike the 14er, and like all of those things are fantastic, right? They're great goals. But is that that's a little goal in the scope of your whole life? What's your big life goal? You
Yeah.
want to be comfortable enough to enjoy the time you have here.
Right.
Right. And you want to do it without pain, and you want to do it without feeling exhausted and wrung out all the time. And we want to know, and how we can help you best is what then is the root cause of why you're feeling bad.
Yes.
And sometimes that's physical.
Yes.
And sometimes that's emotional.
Right.
And sometimes that's mental.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's spiritual.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of just throwing a pill at someone, we need to find out what the root. First of all, what are we treating? What is it that we're actually treating here?
Mm-hmm.
What's the root cause of it? And how can we help? Yeah. And, sometimes it is medical. And obviously, we're going to go through all of the testing that needs to be done, all of the labs that need to be done to rule out things that might be causing this physically.
Right.
And then if it's not physical, maybe it's an issue of just a lack of education around something. And maybe we can help you do that. And very often we can. Maybe it's an issue of, you really need some coaching. You need someone to come alongside you and kind of help you navigate the system and help you navigate, the nutrition plan that we're going to send you for, and the movement expert we're going to have you see.
Yeah.
Because, maybe the real issue of the reason that you need to lose 60 pounds, is maybe it's your thyroid. Okay. Maybe it's your hormones, which is very, very often the case. And that's a whole nother call. Okay. But
right.
And maybe it is those things, and we can fix those things fairly easily, but maybe it's a psychological issue. It's an emotional issue. It's just a lack of education issue, and you need that coaching to come alongside. And that's where my partner Desiree comes in. She's a health and wellness coach, and she refers to herself as a healthcare doula, which I love that term, because we have doulas for birth, we have doulas for death. We don't have doulas for the in between. Right? Nice. What does a doula do? They help you through the process.
Nice.
And that's what she does, is helps people through the process.
Good.
Helps them navigate.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought Desiree up, because I so got involved in you, and she's not with us on the call because she still works as a nurse.
Yes.
And she's the COVID situation is up, and so she's active there and couldn't be on the call today. So just to bring everybody up to speed 20 minutes into the call.
Yep.
But I just want to tell everybody how we met.
Yeah.
And Erin and I met at a group meeting called Essential Wellness Society. And then we later got to talking about this brain product that I have that is wearable neurotechnology. And Erin also has this available for some of her clients who might have frailty issues, worried about falls, or because it's got some great midbrain information and it's making the electrical circuits in the brain fire. But I just wanted to say, what type of people are you working with that are, let's say, if on the aging side or even the injured side, and
Mhm.
how that's worked for you with them?
So yeah, in terms of the Vox Life products, the thing that I have used the most personally, and also with my husband was a big issue, and I don't think he'll mind me talking about this. And if he does, I'm really sorry, babe. Okay. um, you know, and we'll start with him. He's got major health concerns. He's had a traumatic brain injury. He's a seizure disorder. He has Meniere's disease. Right. So he's got some definite balance issues.
Yeah.
But also, and partly because of that, he walks differently.
Right.
Okay. And in that, his knees start to hurt, his hips start to hurt, his feet start to hurt. And the first thing he noticed, it took a while to notice some of the other effects down the line, but the first thing he noticed when he used the Vox Life socks was that, hey, you know what? My knees don't hurt today. Because I asked him, I'm like, what do you think of the socks? And he's like, well, I can't really tell much of a difference except that my knees don't hurt. I said, well, that's actually a big deal. Your knees don't hurt. That's actually a big deal. And then his hips didn't hurt. And then he was feeling more steady on his feet. And now he's at the point where he has socks for every day of the week because he can't be without his socks. Right? That's one example.
Right. Is he walking more? Does he take walks for exercise or anything like that? Is that
he's definitely working more comfortably. So because he works with his hands, he's on his feet all the time, and he's working a lot more comfortably. So that's a big deal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, so, and for people who don't know how that product came about, definitely have a conversation with Erin or myself on that. But, Erin saw the value just for what happened to her husband, but it was designed. The product was designed to help a mother with MS who had been fully paralyzed since for 30 years. She now has upper body mobility, and I just gave a sample to a lady with MS last weekend who was walking with a cane at a farmer's market and almost looked like she was ready to fall over. And the minute I put a Harmony patch on her, which does the same thing as a sock, she stood up straight in front of me. And then she called me excitedly the next day. She says, I walked across grass. I never do that. I always look for the sidewalk. And she says, I was very stable. She says, I even stepped in a hole and I didn't fall.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And she's got 6 of her neighbors ready. So I'll go over and see them this week because they all commented when she got home and got out of the car that, what happened to you? You're walking better.
Yeah. Right? Did someone straighten you out? Yeah. Makes a big difference.
So sorry to interrupt. It was just one of those other fun stories along with your husband. Yeah. But anything else that you want to share about your practice or how it's a good way to connect with you? And like if somebody's getting frustrated or they feel like they've been doing the same old all the time, it's time to go for a different conversation.
Different, different approach. Completely different approach. Sometimes that's what it takes, and no disrespect to all the traditional medical professionals who are working so incredibly hard.
Yes.
They're doing absolutely the best they can within the system. I truly believe that, every single one of them. All right. But there's a reason I decided to get out of the system. And start my own practice, and I don't take insurance for that reason. That it really makes it very difficult for me to care for patients the way we'd like to. It makes it impossible if I'm billing your insurance to take the time I need, to have the conversations I need, to refer you to the health professionals I'd like to. because the process of getting that approved and maybe or maybe not paid for takes so much back office time that it's just cost and time preventative for everyone involved. And it actually ends up being much cheaper for people usually to just pay for a visit.
Yeah.
And honestly, the visits are usually less expensive than their high deductible copays anyway. So I explain it to people sort of like car insurance. Everybody's got car insurance. We need car insurance, right? What if we have an accident? Of course, right? Something major happens. You need your car insurance. But you don't bill your car insurance when you go get an oil change.
Right.
You don't bill your car insurance when you need a new belt, or when you need a tune-up, or when you need your car detailed. That's not their job. And I really feel the same way about health insurance. Okay, the preventative stuff, the maintenance things, the down to, again, the root cause. Okay, it is not really what your insurance is intended to pay for.
Right.
I mean, and yes, they will pay for an annual physical and some basic labs generally. All right. But sometimes the deductibles are so high, it's not even worth it. But you do still need insurance in case you're in an accident, in case, heaven forbid, someone has a major medical issue like cardiac event or a stroke or cancer, or et cetera. We need health insurance for those things. But the things I'm talking about, the health maintenance, so to speak, the preventative care, basically the keeping things clean and running well portion.
Right.
We don't need to get insurance involved in all that. We really don't.
Yeah.
It just mucks things up. So
it's like if you hear a rattle in your car,
you
should question it.
Sure.
Like I had a girlfriend, she'd never question a rattle. She'd always say it'll go away. And I'm listening to this car and I'm going, oh gosh, I just hope we get where we're going. So I told the brother-in-law, I said, something's wrong with this car. It's making a noise. And it turned out she was ready to drop her engine block. There was something loose.
Right.
And so there's so many times I think we all ignore. And when our body's got something and it keeps talking to us over and over again with a dysregulated something or other,
yes,
it's time to go talk to Erin.
We ignore the headache. We ignore the fatigue. We ignore, especially, I'm sorry, I'm no disrespect to men. I'm going to put that aside for a minute, but especially women, ignore headaches, ignore fatigue, ignore anxiety, ignore aches and pains, because we've all been trained that that's just normal. You're just going to hurt. You're just going to be tired. You're just going to be exhausted. You're a mom, right? You're a partner, you're a wife, you work full time, you're over 40, of course you're going to hurt, etc. I don't buy any of it. I don't. There's no reason for it. Right? Yeah. So let's get it. If you have constant headaches, your body is trying to tell you something.
Right.
All right. And yes, you need that, sumatriptan or something similar to get rid of that headache or migraine type headache.
Or you might just need an adjustment from your chiropractor.
You might just need an adjustment. You might be dehydrated.
Right.
Okay. You might have high blood pressure and not know it. Right. You might need your eyes checked. Your stress levels may be so high that you're having tension headaches at the end of the day. Right. And so again, it's back to we can throw a pill at it. We can stop it for right now. And that's what Western medicine does. Right? Yeah. And I'm happy to do it. And I've done it. Okay. Yes, absolutely. We need to stop this pain right now. Let's do it. Okay. But what's causing it?
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening over and over and over again. And I'm with you there, Marla. It's your car's making a noise. Get it checked out. You hurt somewhere. You're having these symptoms. It's your body's trying to tell you something.
Yeah, if you got a hitch and you're getting along, you better get on over to Erin.
Right? What is causing this, and how do we fix it? Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you another question. Are you doing telehealth?
I am doing telehealth. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's
Absolutely.
a good way for people to check you out, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm doing telehealth visits. I have an office in Denver, and then I also have an office in Colorado Springs. And between Desiree and I, there's going to be very soon someone down in the Colorado Springs office at least 3 days a week.
Nice.
So we'll be in both locations a little more frequently. But yes, I do telehealth, and it works wonderfully, especially now. And, Delta variant, we're maybe headed toward lockdown again. I just got the notice from my kids' school. Masks are no longer optional. Even if you're vaccinated, they all have to wear their mask all day long.
Right.
And I'm afraid the whole world is going that way. So,
Right.
We may be stuck in a telehealth world, and that's okay. We can do that. I generally like to see people in person for their first appointment, just because you get to know a lot about someone by actually physically seeing them,
Right.
by actually doing an exam,
Right.
that you don't see in a conference like this.
Right. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, when I see the people that I see and I see how they walk and I can tell that the hip is off, that they're favoring this side of the body or whatever, then I know how I can help them. And you do the same thing. It's like, it's amazing what just watching someone walk and flow, and whether they're in or out of their body and what are they adjusting for. It's a fascinating visual.
And sometimes process. even the way they're carrying themselves, even their countenance when they walk in, will tell you a lot about what's going on.
Right.
You can't always sense that over a video call, but absolutely, the follow-ups, sick visits, all of those, the telehealth, we can do that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for being on today. And I'm going to put Erin's information in this so it shows up for the replay. But it's Erin Marie Allen, and the name of your company is?
Cura Personalis Integrative Health. Cura Personalis is Latin. It literally means treat the whole person.
Got it. And then just toss in your phone number right now so that at least we have that connection before I get the editing done.
Yeah, it's 720-295-7499.
Great.
Yeah.
And so I will post all of her information so that you can get a hold of it, and hopefully she'll be able to use this video and go out. But if any of you have health questions, let me know who you'd like as your next speaker, and we'll connect again soon.
Thank you so much, Marla.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to end the broadcast and then